Okay.
I think that was it.
So I think we are now on air and live. Okay. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Lunenburg Board of Assessors will be recorded and can be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours of the meeting. This public meeting is being conducted remotely and, well, partially remotely and in person at the Lunenburg Town Hall. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the invite link from the agenda that was posted in the Lunenburg Town Calendar and can otherwise be found on the Lunenburg Board of Assessors website. To participate by telephone, you can again follow the instructions on the agenda. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. It is anticipated that following regular session, public session, this meeting will enter executive session for purposes to be stated just before that motion, at the time that motion is taken. I am not permitted in, nor will I participate in executive session. So now we need to provide an explanation as to what I'm doing. So as many of you viewing or participating remotely know, my name is Lou Franco. I am a member of the Lunenburg Select Board. As announced at a Select Board meeting 3 or 4 weeks ago, I will be serving as a facilitator of meetings of the Lunenburg Board of Assessors for the foreseeable future, as our community works its way through the current property tax situation relative to the 3 lakes in town. It should be clearly understood that I am only a facilitator with certain limited functions, most notably moving these meetings through their agendas and moderating public comment and the like. I have certain additional limited powers and discretion, such as setting time limits on public comment periods and on individuals offering public comments in conjunction with the chair. I am not a member of the Board of Assessors. In my specialized role, I shall not have the power to make motions, second motions, or vote. However, I may from time to time participate in the discussion, but only after being recognized by the chair, Rich Letarte, to do so. Moreover, when circumstances warrant at various points in discussion among board members, I may query the chair as to whether he is willing to entertain a motion by one of the other members. This is clearly a unique situation, and ground rules may be modified as we proceed over the coming weeks. In recognition of the fact that, as a member of the Select, I may be asked by members of the public to respond to questions or offer opinions, out of deference to the authority of the chair of the Board of Assessors, I will respond only with his permission and after being recognized to do so. To the extent that I am unable to respond to questions in this setting, members of the public may always present their questions to me at our regular Select Board meetings, the next one of which will be tonight at 7 p.m. So we will, that is the basic setting, but we may need to tweak or modify these ground rules as we go along. And with that, we will open the meeting, call the meeting to order at 3:02. And take care of perhaps some quick administrative business first. Is the chair willing to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 22nd? Yes, Chris.
Lou, they're muted.
They're muted, yes. You guys are muted.
Yeah. So they can't. There you go. I'm out.
Press the space key, press the space bar, and that should unmute you. But you got to hold it down.
Has he been muted
have to
all
hold
the
it down?
while? Can you just tell me, Mr. Abbott, has Lou been?
No, he's been yakking right along for quite a while.
Okay, I'm not sure to whom to address this. We have a chairman. The chairman did not call the meeting to order. Apparently, we have a moderator who has elected himself to moderate, but already he has called the meeting to order, as far as I can tell. So I'll ask a question. To whom do I ask it? Do I ask it to the chair, or do I ask it to the quote unquote moderator?
You should ask any questions to the chair from this point forward.
Okay, where, Mr. Letarte, where in Robert's Rules of Order, what paragraph, what page, whatever, does it state that a legislative body, I'm calling the Board of Assessors, choose it, we didn't choose, can have an outside moderator chosen by himself? Where in Robert's Rules of Order does it say that this happens?
I have no idea. I thought it was a good idea for somebody independent of the Board of Assessors to come in and deal with this, Chris.
We're supposed to be, when you weren't here, I think we established that we would attempt to run meetings by Robert's Rules of Order. And a few people caught errors, and that's fine. We're going to have errors. Maybe you can tell me where in Robert's Rules of Order it says that there's some kind of a person who elects themselves to be moderator. Now, the person described somewhat the function of moderator, but then he proceeded to call the meeting to order, which wasn't in the list of his duties that he elected himself to.
Well, then why don't we back up and I will call a meeting to order.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also,
And then I have the same question to you, Rich.
okay.
So he's called the meeting to order, that's fine. So where do
And
we
so-
get? I mean, I
and-
really think we should run this thing in a business-like fashion as possible.
I think that's the point of having the outside moderator come in, is
But-
we were having difficulties running that in that manner
But
ourselves.
by definition, he's gone outside of Robert's Rules of Order to make himself the moderator. There is no such thing that I know
I
of.
don't view him
Maybe
as
there
having
is.
made himself, for starters. It's been discussed extensively, I know, with Rich and myself at a minimum.
Rich, you know Robert's Rules of Order. Issues have to be, there has to be a motion, it has to be seconded, then there's a discussion. This is minimal stuff. There's a discussion amongst the board, and then there's a vote. I mean, none of this has just happened. In something as important as this to the town of Lunenburg, off the bat, you're going against Robert's Rules of Order, as far as I know. Now, Mr. Franco has defined that he knows Robert's Rules of Order. I just gave a very minimal description of what happens and how it runs and so on. But so we've already, to get Mr. Franco, we have not abided by our own rules.
So I'm vaguely familiar with Robert's rules, Chris. I really have to claim a little bit of ignorance here, but is it possible that we go back and assign the job of moderating these meetings to
Sure.
Mr. Franco?
Let's agree that at a minimum, any actions that get taken are done by motion that's clearly stated. Usually people write these up ahead of time so that they're accurate, they're clear, they're correct, blah, blah. Someone else on the board or someone's going to make a motion. Now, there's no such we're going to have to define what a moderator can and cannot do. Understand, this is honestly, this is for the good of the town, because he's going to make suggestions. I think I heard him say, and the town is very concerned about this. The rules that meetings go by are called Robert's Rules of Order. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Should I request a motion to appoint you, to appoint Louis Franco as temporary moderator throughout this process? And should it be written up and done formally, which is only going to put us back time-wise?
But it has to be taken down by Sheila. Just what you just said, has
Yeah.
to be taken down by
It'll be
Sheila,
taken down in the minutes.
or unless you do the minutes later.
I'll do the minutes. I'll do the
Okay,
minutes.
later. Okay, so we'll assume Sheila got it all down. What you just said. Okay, it has, before anyone can ask a question or whatever, it has to be seconded.
Or can
I
can
don't,
someone make a motion?
yeah.
Well, there's no motion on the table, but Rich did say, should I ask for a motion? And then he defined it. I mean, I have a question already on the motion. It's going to be very hard, given that you haven't written down the motion. Whoever, there can be a lot of disagreement on a motion that's not written down. So maybe we should agree that Sheila will take it down from henceforth, as well as she can, so that we can at least discuss motions.
Well, may I be recognized for a moment, Mr. Chair?
Can I make the motion? I'll recognize Mr. Franco. Oh,
All right.
Who's
If-
who-
if- If that's the way, I appreciate the point. If that is the way it needs to go, then I think that this particular issue is not one that was reasonably anticipated by the chair for this meeting, and I am therefore going to take my leave. You guys can then discuss whether or not you want a moderator, if that moderator should be me, what the terms of that moderation should be, and I'll see you on Thursday if you
You have
decide.
to do that.
Huh?
I don't know that you should leave, but certainly it has to be discussed amongst the board, written down, whatever your function is, and voted. I mean, that's a minimum. I don't know that you have to leave, Lou. Why would you?
Well, I can stay as a member of the public, but you know, I have a job too. I'm-
Oh,
You know.
so,
That wouldn't have been the case anyway. So.
Well, Chris, seeing you're the one who's brought this up, are you ready to write up a motion so that we can discuss it?
no,
I don't even-
because I don't even know. I haven't been in on these discussions. You and Kevin apparently have discussed it. So one of you, I mean, I guess it's Kevin, because usually motions made from the members, not the chair. Lou, can I ask you, can a chair can make a motion, can they not?
Well, why can't one of you make the motion?
Well, that's the most common.
That does depend on the size of a board, generally speaking, under Robert Rules of Order. But it is always proper for a chair, for someone other than the chair to make a motion. So you can
I agree with you.
avoid the problem.
But I haven't heard, Kevin hasn't stepped to the plate. I don't know anything about this moderator business. I'm not going to make a motion.
Okay, I'm going to step in for a moment because I think I am not happy about being told I haven't stepped up to the plate. This issue was not even anticipated. So I am going to just put it this way. As far as I know, the members of this board were made aware of it via email. I thought you were included in that email chain. If you weren't, I apologize. But no, we had discussed the fact that he was going to be offering to act as a moderator in the interest of making it clear to the public that we were running the meeting in a more business-like fashion than we have to this point. Now, if you want to tell me I haven't stepped to the plate, that is your prerogative, but I don't have to appreciate it.
There's, I certainly didn't mean to insult you, Kevin. There's one person in the room who can make a motion about Lou being a moderator with a proper definition of whatever a moderator does. I can't do it. I don't know anything about this. You guys have said we've discussed it over and over. So one of you has to make it.
I will
Rich.
make the motion now. I move that Lou Franco be appointed as temporary moderator for the meetings going forward while we are dealing with the issues of the lakefront situation in Lunenburg, Massachusetts. As a result of the increases in taxes during the most recent assessment, I will also move that this is based upon, that the role will be filled out based upon the statements of Mr. Franco at the beginning of this meeting, as he very clearly stated the outline of the role of moderator. That was intended for this meeting.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion? I mean, Rich, now you ask, is there a second to the motion?
Where the heck is Rich? He's gone.
Oh, God.
He's having technical difficulties.
Rich, are you on?
I'll try to text him.
Hey, CJ?
Yeah, you're on speakerphone. We're all hearing you, Rich.
Well, yeah, I just, my computer just decided to reboot.
Oh, God.
So that's why I'm off. Can you hear me though?
Did you hear the motion, Rich?
I did not. Kevin was just starting to speak, and out of nowhere, this thing says telling me, don't turn off your computer. We're going to restart it. I don't know what the heck happened.
Probably an automatic update or something along that line. So basically what I've done, Rich, is I put a motion on the table to appoint Lou Franco as moderator, the role to be defined as by his earlier statements at the beginning of this meeting that has been recorded.
Okay. Now, do I have a second on that?
Why don't you second it? You've been in on the discussions.
I'll second it.
And then Lou can tell us if it's unusual. So I don't know. Okay.
Well, now I mean, you know, actually, I question whether or not this is something that, since the issue was raised, was reasonable. I mean, it was reasonably anticipated by the chair, but it's not on the agenda. So is it legitimate?
Yeah, well, that's true. What I was going to say is that I can take this meeting over from here.
Okay.
And appreciate any public comment from you if you have it. I'm still waiting for this bloody thing to reboot.
Let me ask a question in public comment. Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, go ahead.
I will ask this if they are willing to answer of the Lux, because they're pretty familiar with the open meeting law and whether, or, you know, and so I respect their opinions on this point. Do you think this is something that is outside of the scope of fair discussion and a vote for this meeting?
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing it right. The phone is all kinds of problems.
He is asked the Lux opinion with regards to whether this is within the scope of the current meeting or if it has to be done at a future one.
Who's opinion?
That's a fair question.
What's Lux?
They're the ones that are very familiar with the open meeting law. They've been in most of the meetings in recent times.
I don't know if Mr.
Oh,
Yes, exactly.
Rich, you're not here.
Yep.
Rich.
I cannot hear the Lux.
Luke,
Oh,
can you hear me?
okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, great, great. This is Carl Luck, 50 Sunset Lane. Lou, I appreciate the the flattering comment. I'm no expert, but I know more than I wish I knew. I thought your comment was exactly right, that this is not something that would have been expected, reasonably expected by the chair, and is therefore, fair ground for a discussion and a vote. That'd be my personal opinion. It is fair ground because it was not reasonably expected. So it does not need to be on the agenda if it was not reasonably expected.
Okay, would you, if you don't mind my continuing the conversation, Mr. Chair, so are you saying that you believe it is fair for us to do this and for there to be a vote on this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. I know that you have great familiarity with the open meeting law at this point. All right.
I have the scars.
Is Rich still on?
Yes, I am, Lou.
He's
All
on the
right.
phone. I don't know if he's on the Zoom yet.
I'm waiting for it to go on, Kevin.
Okay. He's not on the Zoom, but he is hearing this on the phone.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I ask, Lou, are you done? Or Lou, do you have another question?
Do I have another question?
Yes,
Not at this juncture, other than,
okay. I have a question. It's just a substantive one. In the wording of the motion, which nobody got down, but we could play back the tape and get it.
Yeah.
But I do remember toward the end, he said what the duties of this is a paraphrase of what Kevin said in the motion. He said that the duties of the motion would be those that you had listed and enumerated. He didn't use those words in your opening remarks. Okay, of the meeting. Well, the meeting hadn't even been opened yet because the chair didn't open the meeting. So they were perfectly nice comments, and I'm sure they're on tape someplace. But we can't, I'm not sure how much we can discuss of you being moderator. When I was discussing with CJ, why are you speaking? What's this all about? This little group has run itself under Robert's Rules of Order. Granted, a rather relaxed set of Robert's Rules of Order, but there've always been motions, there've always been seconds, there's always been a discussion, there's been votes and so on. Now, somehow it was decided that this little group was, so somehow it was decided. So you presented a list of things that you would do as moderator since the little group of the Board of Assessors was apparently all this time not doing a good job. It seemed to work out okay. CJ would present his business, there would come a motion, second, so on, so here we are discussing what this moderator position will do. There's been a second. We'll assume that Rich seconded it. Okay, just for this. I don't even know if he did, but let's assume he did. We're discussing the position. We don't have it in front of us. I had no idea you were going to open the meeting, give this talk, describe what your duties were going to be. I didn't write it down. It's a little hard to discuss it.
well, I can reiterate that.
That'd be great. And should
Okay,
Sheila
okay.
and and maybe you could go slowly enough so that I can take it down, so that I can discuss it intelligently or not.
Yes, also, I must just ask, do you watch the select board meetings?
Do we
Watch the
want,
select board meetings.
Do you watch?
oh, no,
Okay, that would
I watched
explain
some
why
of
this
them
is,
on occasion. I haven't watched the most recent one.
it wasn't on the most recent one, but it has been on more than one that this would be happening.
That's correct.
All right, I will reiterate. And to the extent that there are actionable or items, I will pause and, allow you to consider those, of course. All right, I will reiterate the entire statement. As many of you viewing or participating remotely know, my name is Lou Franco. I am a member of the Lunenburg.
Excuse me 1 second. If you've got it written, couldn't we just scan it and read it?
Huh? What?
You have this, your opening remarks written.
Yes.
Could you just scan them and we'll read them all together?
Well, how am I going to get them to you?
You can scan them electronically immediately.
Right, but where am I going to send them?
I think it's quicker to have Lou read them. for
Okay,
Christ's sake.
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt, Lou. Go ahead and read.
All right. Or I can also photograph them and send them to Kevin.
That's okay. I agree with Rich. It will take longer to work through it. Okay.
All right, Kevin should have them.
One moment, I gotta pull up my handy phone fit here.
And now Rich should have them too, but
That is the text of the.
Okay.
all
Thank
right, I
you.
will still read them into
Okay.
the record. As many of you viewing or participating remotely know, my name is Lou Franco. I am a member of the Lunenburg Select Board. As announced at a select board meeting 3 or 4 weeks ago, I will be serving as a facilitator of meetings of the Lunenburg Board of Assessors for the foreseeable future, subject to motion and vote by the Board of Assessors. As our community works its way through the current property tax situation relative to the 3 lakes in town, it should be clearly understood that I am only a facilitator with certain limited functions, most notably moving these meetings through their agendas and moderating public comment and the like. I have certain additional limited powers, or anticipate having certain additional limited powers and discretion, such as setting time limits on public comment periods and on individuals offering public comments. I am not a member of the Board of Assessors. In my specialized role, I shall not have the power to make motions, second motions, or vote. However, I may from time to time participate in the discussion, but only after being recognized by the chair, Rich Letarte, to do so. Moreover, when circumstances warrant at various points in discussion among board members, I may query the chair as to whether he is willing to entertain a motion by one of the other members. This is clearly a unique situation, and ground rules may be modified as we proceed over the coming weeks. In recognition of the fact that, as a member of the Select Board, I may be asked by members of the public to respond to questions or offer opinions, out of deference to the authority of the chair of the Board of Assessors and the Board of Assessors, I will respond only with the chair's permission. To the extent that I am unable to respond to questions in this setting, members of the public may present their questions to me at any of our select board meetings. So that is the set of parameters and the roles of the moderator referenced by Kevin in his motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suggest an amendment to the motion that's on the floor. And it is in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in the last. Rich, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It's in the last paragraph. The last paragraph that starts out, this is clearly, that's that paragraph. Got it?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. My amendment is the following. That we omit the second sentence in recognition of the fact that as a member of the select board, I may be asked by members of the public to respond to questions or offer opinions out of deference to the authority, out of deference to the authority of the chair of the Board of Assessors. I guess let's assume there's a period there. Well, I don't know. At any rate, out of deference, it keeps on going, out of deference to the authority of the chair of the Board of Assessors that will respond only with his permission. Okay, my motion is to delete that from the statement that's being included in the motion on the floor. Is that clear?
No, why?
Well, do you know what I'm saying?
Not
Do you
really.
know what I'm asking? My amendment deletes that second sentence in paragraph 5. And it keeps the basic fact that under these unique circumstances, Lou would be the moderator, which he's attempted to define a new term, which, I mean, is okay. My suggestion is that that second sentence be deleted, where he's allowed to answer questions, I think, from the public, from the floor. And give his opinion and so on. I don't see that as the position of a moderator. A moderator, by his definition, is to help run the meeting if the board is unable to run it its own self. Rich, do you have I didn't answer your question. Why am I saying that? Well, I guess I did. Do you know what sentence it is that I'm suggesting be deleted?
You're muted, Rich.
Rich, can you hear me? Rich.
I think he's requesting assistance to get unmuted.
Rich, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this thing has been automatically muting me. Jack and I had the issue some time ago. Yeah, from what you're saying, Chris, is that Lou should not answer any questions other than very, very basic procedural questions. And if somebody asks him something else, he's got to defer to me for the okay to talk.
No, that's what's in his sentence, that if it's on some other issue other than procedural, his statement is he would defer to you asking to speak and answer the question of the public. Okay. But my suggestion is that, as you put it, other than in procedural questions, he would not answer questions of the public, because I don't see that as the function of a moderator. He's helping to run the meeting so that we don't get into the trouble we're in right now of going back and forth, and we don't, okay. So, that seems possibly, but my suggestion is to delete the part where he speaks back and forth to any public people that are here, except on procedural issues, that they would question you if you didn't know Robert's Rules of Order and the Lux don't know it or something,
Well,
then he would respond.
How about if someone asks a question and if I don't know the answer, I will defer to whoever does.
Well, I think you could, so are you willing to
Hopefully
defer
the issue,
that?
hopefully the issue doesn't come up, Chris. Why don't we, I'd like to get on with this meeting.
Yeah, in what you said, what you just said, this is a fairly important issue to the town. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or what. I mean, it's news to me. So it's a fairly important thing. And I feel that Lou Franco should answer questions from the town that are not organizational questions. He should answer them at Board of Selectmen meeting or however he wants to answer them. I don't think he should take the time of the Board of Assessors to answer the question. If you don't know the answer to a question, you would defer to Kevin or to me or to the Lux or whatever. Now you can defer to people, I suppose, just as you might defer to anyone. But I don't think it should be a direct part of what a moderator does.
Any comments from anybody else?
Yes, if I may. The reason this is in here is actually to limit my ability to speak. If it's not in there, then I could just participate as a member of the public. So what's going to happen? This is a very unique situation. People are going to come to these meetings. They're going to see a member of the select board in this meeting. And it may be very natural for them, especially a member of the select board that previously served on the Board of Assessors. And if you have watched at all any of the weekly grillings at the Board of the Selectmen's meeting, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So it may be very, very natural for members of the public to, in this forum, put a question to me, knowing that I have previous specialized knowledge of the being on the Board of Assessors, and they may put these questions to me like they would at a select board meeting. But what this sentence is in here to appoint Rich the gatekeeper. In other words, I will not respond to such a question until I ask Rich for his permission to respond to the question. Otherwise, I could just in open public meeting. In other words, sometimes what goes on at the select board is a public member of the public will get up and speak and pose a question or something, and then someone else from the public, which is something like I would be here, might get up and respond to the question as part of their public comment. I'm putting the gag order on myself and saying that the gag order is on unless Rich lifts it.
Thank you.
Lou, my suggestion to you is, I understand what you just said, that you're trying to be helpful in responding to questions that possibly one of the three of us don't know the answer to. My suggestion to you is to use your own rule here about keeping the time limits of the public. So it's better off, it seems to me, if they ask a question, that you use your ability as moderator to maintain a time. Generally, the time given them is 3 minutes. That's not a huge, big, long time. I mean, it seems to me they would be at the end of the question. I just have a procedural problem with having a person on the Board of Selectmen select whatever. Having that much authority. Now, in a sense, Lou, I don't see why you can't act as a person in the public. And you're saying that as part of the next citizen's right to speak for 3 minutes, you could respond. As a matter of fact, at the meeting, I think that I ran, you spoke twice.
Right.
You spoke initially, you were very clear. You wanted to speak first, and
Right.
you did speak first. And then later on, you spoke again to address a person's issue.
Correct.
And I don't see why we can't just, you would still be, as a moderator, a member of the public. And I don't see why you can't use that mechanism. You wouldn't be taking authority from another board. The only authority you would be taking, in essence, is to keep Robert Rules of Order going along. And a lot of times, like in Congress, they have a parliamentarian do that. I mean, you know, you could have called yourself a parliamentarian. But anyway, you didn't. You called yourself a moderator. So can't we just allow you, as a member of the public, to answer any other member of the public?
Okay, well, so what you're suggesting will actually give me more power.
It
to
would,
openly answer the
because-
question.
because you'll be a member of the public as well as being a moderator.
Okay, well then I'm open for taking that sentence out, because then it's all bets are off. Then I can say anything without being gagged by the chair.
Okay, are you willing to take it out as a friendly amendment then? Because then I
I'm willing
think
to take it out because it actually
think
broadens
that-
my ability to speak.
then we don't have to have a vote on it. If it's friendly amendment, no, that goes to the maker of the amendment. I'm sorry, a friendly amendment would go to Kevin, right? You're the parliamentarian. You know what a friendly amendment is. It has to go, it has to be accepted by the maker of the motion,
Sure, yeah,
not by you. You
Right.
know, I mean, you don't even.
right.
have to-
I'm saying in principle, I'm fine with it because it will actually completely ungag me at that point.
Well, not exactly, because the chairman is going to be allowing members of the public to speak their 3-minute intervals. When
Okay,
I was running meeting and they're in an order, you spoke first and then you spoke last. You're not going to be ungagged totally.
well, let me just put it to you this way, just for the point of discussion. The standing rule would be this: when a member of the public wishes to speak, they should be recognized, except under very extenuating circumstances. Either they're up against the total time allowed for public comment, or they're up to their personal or individual limit on time to speak. So in other words, now this puts Rich in the position, if we take this sentence out, this puts Rich in the position of if I say, may I speak and be recognized, he would now have to say, no, I don't want to hear from you.
No,
Whereas this says, no one will hear from me unless he specifically allows it.
Lou, you put it, I thought, into your motion that you would run the timing of the public comments. Wasn't that part? You listed off a bunch of actions that you would take.
Yes, but the chair will still recognize the people to speak.
And you would help stop them after their 3 minutes.
Right, or I would, or indicate that we're up against the 20 minutes.
So you're not being restricted that much. You're not being restricted any more than anyone else. You're being restricted to 3 minutes after the other people have spoken.
Hey, look, I'm all for taking it out. It allows me more freedom to
It's
speak.
okay, good.
Yeah.
You and Kevin decide whether you want it out or you don't want it out.
Well,
I'm not
well,
trying. Okay, Lo, why
it-
don't you let Kevin decide if he wants to accept a friendly
Sure.
amendment?
Yes, I will. I'm just speaking to it so that the discussion on whether or not to accept this amendment can be informed. My personal opinion is that, sure, you want to take it out, it totally unbridles me to speak freely, as opposed to keeping a gag on me, which I put in there specifically out of deference to the chair.
Kevin, do you have any comment?
I guess I would say this is, my view is that that statement actually does accomplish a goal of circumscribing what the moderator is able to do with regards to additional comment. While I do like the idea of being able to access his specialized knowledge, knowing that he has served on this board in the past and has a knowledge of what our functions are here on this board, I do feel that it is better to include that statement in the notions of what the moderator is, by dint of the fact that it will allow you to control when he is really brought into the discussion. And I do genuinely think it is actually a benefit to have that there to limit his participation, in part because I don't want the public addressing him on issues that should be really addressed directly to the board and you as chair. So my concern is not out of any concern with Lou Franco and what he wants to say, so much as it is that I feel like my concern is that the public will feel that he is the one to address because of his positions outside of this board and acting as moderator for these meetings.
Well, I understood it that the public would address me and I would defer to him if need be.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think that statement should remain in that definition of the moderator role.
But now, rules, the Robert's rules. Now we take a vote on this, or do I get a second on this? Can I get a
I
second?
think there must have been a second. I think Rena said there was a second.
Well, I think you seconded the
Oh, you
motion.
I
but
seconded
we're
it,
talking
right.
about the amendment is, I think, what needs to, first, I think we need to vote on the amendment, then we need to vote on the motion itself.
That's right.
Correct.
And since it's not accepted as a friendly amendment, then we've got to vote on the amendment. Rich, can you take, we're all in agreement. You have to take the vote now.
Okay. Do I get a vote? All in favor?
Are we voting on the amendment or the motion?
Oh, Jesus.
Amendment,
We're
Rich,
fi- we're-
the amendment.
We're voting on the amendment.
Okay. All right.
Oh, all those, do
Yeah.
you have to say all
All
those?
all in favor?
Okay,
say aye.
yeah, I'll be aye.
Kevin?
I'm opposed. I do not want the amendment.
2-1.
No, anything, I can't sign money stuff.
No, it's the abatements also.
So that-
I'm sorry, go on. Yeah,
It looks to me like we have a 2-1 vote.
2 in favor, 1 opposed.
You in favor of the amendment, okay.
All right, so now, Rich, you have to ask for any discussion on the motion itself.
Is there any discussion on the motion itself?
Everyone's saying, thank God.
Yeah, well, I'll say that too. So the motion is approved.
No, now you.
Now
no,
you have to call
no,
for a vote on the motion itself.
You have to
Again.
call for a vote on the motion.
I'm glad you guys know what you're doing. I'd like to call on the a vote. I
All
need a
those-
vote.
all
All in
those-
favor, all in favor of the motion itself? Say aye.
Aye.
Chris?
You have to now say all those opposed.
All those opposed? All those opposed? All those opposed to the motion?
Now you have to say all those abstaining.
All those abstaining?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, so looks like it's approved 2-0.
Oh, we didn't see. Okay, we're assuming. Yeah, it's called 2-0-0, 2-0-1.
2-0-1. Okay. I don't like this job as chairman.
All right, so that, the motion now passed without the amendment.
No, it passed.
It passed with
With
the
the
amendment.
With the amendment.
They
The
voted
amendment
2-1 in favor of the
was-
amendment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay,
Remember?
understood.
You
I
remember?
didn't hear that.
Yeah,
So
as a matter of fact, just to
I'm sorry,
clarify,
it
to
passed
clarify for
with the
Sheila
amendment. Right.
again, the amendment passed 2-1-0. Okay, can you hear me, Lou?
I'm having a problem hearing in general. My speakers are really weak, so.
Okay, this is just something to help Sheila. This is out of order. The amendment passed 2-1-0.
Right.
Okay, that, you can leave that out of the minutes, Sheila. I mean, that was there for the amendment. Okay, so that whole motion passed. So we have you as a moderator.
Yes,
And Rich has called Rich called the meeting to order. So that's where we're at.
all right.
Now we
And
should,
now just so everybody's clear, I no longer have to ask the chair for permission to speak. I mean, I have to ask him for permission to speak, but now I have more freedom to answer direct questions from the public.
to answer direct questions from the public. Lou, I have a question because you said that you know a lot about this. I thought, can you explain to me, during regular motions and the discussion of a motion, I'm asking you this as your role of parliamentarian moderator. Are people in the audience allowed to comment if they're not invited to comment by the chair?
I think they have
Not
to
if they're not invited, no.
Okay, so then ahead of the meeting, Rich would have to decide how he's going to deal with public comment. Okay, thanks.
Right, if
That's all.
somebody, but during public comment, if somebody puts a question directly to me in public comment, just as part of public comment, and then I ask to be recognized by the chair just to do public comment, now I can respond to that public comment and that question directly without asking the chair specifically whether I can respond to that question. So I have no restraint anymore.
Is that the normal procedure, Lou?
Well,
that
you just
people-
made it the procedure by removing that, by making that amendment.
No, what we did was we took you out of it. So I'm asking, normally, can two people in the audience, I asked you that before, and you said two people in the audience can respond to each other if it's the second person's turn to respond.
It
That's what you
happens.
told me. You told me that 15 minutes ago, so
Yeah,
I'll just
right.
leave it at that.
Yes, I mean, it
I'm sorry,
happened.
I forgot that you already told me that.
It happened at the meeting you ran when Mr. Alonso got up and spoke to something. And then I got up and responded to him as part of.
Well, that was at a different meeting. That was the one where CJ spoke for a long time, I think. But the one that I did, I acknowledged you were going to speak again.
Yes,
I was keeping track of who was speaking in what order. And we had called, I think Kevin, we somehow called the amount of discussion was almost over. And then luckily you fit into that. So you just are going to be like everybody else in the audience. Okay, as far as questions, if somebody asks you, you're just going to be like everyone else as far as issues that are being discussed. And you're allowed to be like every other citizen in the audience, and they have their hands up in order. But
It's my,
we're getting off the topic, I think.
yeah, it's, in a nutshell, it's my understanding that the people in the audience, and I may be wrong, request permission from the chair to speak from there on in. So then they speak, they give their spiel, and if the chair or any of the members of the Board of Assessors cannot answer it, the chair would give the okay to somebody in the public to answer it.
Right.
Okay. Can we
We've
get on
done
with
that.
the meeting?
We've all done that with the Lux, who I think are still on, because they were most knowledgeable. I had made a mistake at the last meeting in Robert's Rules of Order. I forget what it was. And Carl picked up on it. So we kind of all agreed. We're used to doing that. That's not a big problem. Okay.
Okay.
And furthermore, we're used to putting an overall time limit on questions from the audience. 20 minutes or whatever it is.
Okay. I'd like to get on with the meeting. I'd like to get the minutes approved of the meeting from for the meeting of February 22nd, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Okay. We're gonna go to limited public comment here where, seeing just the Lux and Jack Rabbit, that we can allow them each 5 minutes. Is that fair?
that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, who's got their hand up?
The looks.
Carl Phyllis? I can't hear you.
They're on mute, yeah.
Phyllis Luck, 50 Sunset Lane. Good afternoon, everyone. During
It's almost good evening, Phyllis.
Good afternoon, Phyllis.
Almost. Lively conversation. During the public comment period of your February 23rd meeting, the principal assessor stated that it's up to the Board of Assessors to determine if an abatement applicant may be present during the Board of Assessors discussion of his or her abatement application. When will the BOA have a public meeting to discuss and determine this? That's my first question. Do you want to respond or do you want me to just keep going?
Go ahead, Phyllis.
Okay. Many residents are confused. The principal assessor has stated that he's under a gag order. Since his direct supervisors are the Board of Assessors and the town manager, from whence has this order come? The abatement process seems to be underway for lakefront property owners. We have already had an inspection of our property. Yet, the Board of Assessors has had no meetings open to the public since December where they could have discussed any of these issues, including actually your moderator issue. We know from the investigation team's constant reminders, that team has no authority over the Board of Assessors or the principal assessor. So who's driving this bus?
Well, essentially, and I'll take any input and corrections if I'm misstating anything. We're going by the rules of the Department of Revenue. The executive sessions are supposed to be, because there's a lot of private and privacy issues, are supposed to be or should be done in private by the Board of Assessors. And when you come right down to it, if we allowed even one person to come in and state their case, we have numerous people who have requested a meeting with the Board of Assessors. We would never get through it. We would never get through it.
But, you know, for executive sessions convened, a public body is not specifically required to include nor prohibited from inviting in individuals other than the public body members into an executive session. You have the authority to allow residents into that meeting. And honest to God, out of respect for the residents of Lunenburg, I believe you should. It's just not fair.
Well, you've had many chances to state your cases. You in particular, you've done very well. And a lot of other people have had their chances to state their cases. You put it in writing on your abatement application.
Well, even if people just want to be present at that meeting, and you may allow it. And I believe it's the right thing to do. You know, the townspeople are suffering. It's the right thing to do.
Well, thank you for your opinion.
Okay.
Carl?
Yeah, I also have one. this won't take long. First, I want to thank the board for hearing my comments at your 22nd meeting regarding the executive session and correcting that in today's meeting, which I saw, which is great, and I commend you on that. I assume that you will be citing the specific law which justifies the purpose of Purpose 7. Not a big deal. I do only have one additional request regarding this agenda item, the executive session. And that would be that the BOA consider including in the motion the addresses of the properties which are the subject of this session. This is not required by open meeting law or any other law that I'm aware of, but it is allowed and is common practice, is my understanding, and would also help the public understand the scope of the session and if their application will be under review in this session. So I just request that you consider letting people know what addresses you're addressing in any given evening. My more immediate concern, though, and request relates to the barriers that have been put in place that keep the principal assessor from explaining how the land assessment increase of 135% for all lake properties was calculated. I've been requesting this for 2 months and have yet to get an answer, nor have I been able to figure it out from the reams of public documents that the town has provided on this subject. Therefore, today I am formally requesting that the BOA to direct the principal assessor to provide me with this calculation, and if necessary, sit with me for up to 1 hour to explain the process used to determine the 135% increase in land value. Also, how the 2020 qualified sales were used to, as the assessor informed me, to support, not in the analysis, but to support the analysis after the fact, and what would the increase have been had they been included directly in the analysis per the DOR requirement. This request is in 100% in line with the principal assessor's job description under his essential functions, which I state are: the assessor provides information in person, on telephone, email, or via written correspondence to property owners and others regarding the municipality's assessment policies and procedures.
Already in 5 minutes.
The issue is they each would technically get 5 minutes,
That's what I thought too.
and I've made 2.
That sounds more right.
You keeping track of the time?
I am here right now. He's currently at 2.5 minutes. She had pretty much exhausted her time, but he's got about 2 minutes left.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Kevin.
I'm not only exhausted in time, but in reality. So that was it. I just don't understand the most critical thing in this whole process, the 135%. It's the issue. And I cannot get access to the calculation that results in that number. And if that number is not right, then everybody's assessments are affected. So there couldn't be anything more fundamental and important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luck. Mr. Rabbit?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to address my future friends. Not that they aren't already.
You hope.
We hope, yes. Hey, having sat through my first full session like this, it becomes apparent to me a couple of things. First of all, I have to go pass an exam, and I've got to start studying for that immediately. Until that time, I really can't sit on any of the assessments, or for that matter, the resolution of the assessment process. Is that what you were saying, Rich? What's my limitations?
Well, you have to be elected first.
Yeah. Oh, God. I forgot all about that. Darn. You mean I can tell Jane, no, I'm not going to do this now? After watching what you just, no, anyway, I know, I appreciate that, but I have to pass an exam, and only then can I sit in on the hearings and things. Is that what it is?
No, you can sit in on the hearings. You have, I believe it's 2 years to pass the exam. Okay. And that deals with mainly with money things, the actual, the abatements and items like that.
Right. So until I pass the exam, I can't make any comment or anything like that. No vote, excuse me. I can make a comment, but no vote. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have you folks ever thought about having some sort of formal liaison with the selectmen? I know we've got Lou right now, as well as the finance committee, such that you're both, there's a channel established that's part of the regular routine of saying, hey, did anything come up in the selectmen's meeting that any of the citizens are concerned with? Or for that matter, is anything the finance committee has brought up, and make it a regular part of the routine, and each member takes part of that, that liaison. I know in my past, it's been a pretty common practice. And I would think that perhaps if we focused on some widening up the communications channels, maybe it would be better for us. So just think about communications enhancement. My intention is, once I'm elected, if I'm elected, I would attempt to basically understand how things work. And I would be pretty quiet, but I'll be asking a lot of questions, and I'll be trying to flow chart the responses and bring them back to you and say, is this how we work? And this is what we do. And that would include questions. One of my questions that I would try to flow chart right in the very beginning is a similar question that Carl's asking. How does this process work? And I think that in the community, that is not just a Carl question. There's 400 families or so that are asking, how did this happen? So if the board could consider giving that a priority, and as well as establishing a liaison. And I know we got Lou right now coming in, and he's taking questions for this team from the selectmen. And can we start hearing from the finance committee as well? Because from my old days, I remember the finance committee used to be a major portion of a consideration in our discussions in terms of how this was going to work. So that my 3 minutes are up, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Rich, could I respond to Jack just on one point?
Yes, you may.
Jack, I just want to make just one small comment. Sure. The Board of Assessors, after the last meeting, wrote to the town council. I was the one who drafted the letter. We all sent it, asking to meet with him because on the issue of the independence of the Board of Assessors.
Right.
I heard back from the attorney and notified my colleagues here. He said that the attorney needed Heather's approval in order to speak with the assessors and the Board of Assessors, and that I would hear from him.
Yeah. Okay.
I never heard from him. I felt strongly about that because I think a lot of the complaints are justified. But if you read the regulations and you study them, it appears that the board in the regulations is not just an advisory board, that it has a certain amount of authority.
Right.
But in reality, Jack, that doesn't appear to be true. Okay. And I've only been on 2 temporary 1-year stints. Okay, so I may have it all wrong. CJ may have much better information as to where the authority really lies. Okay. With regard to the board. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's not, Christine, Mr. Chairman, through you. Christine, you're right. It's not really clear where the boundaries begin and who has full responsibilities. And I think that's something that we could flow out pretty quickly. I also know that access to the attorney from different groups, we usually have to go through our chairman to get approval to contact the attorney because there's only so much time. And I suspect that could be just a wheel that's moving a little slower than such. But I think that, yeah, let's map that out. That's pretty easy, and we blame everything on Mr. Fish versus Mr. Rabbit. That's a good joke. Now, come on.
Oh.
Jokes around. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I think that
I think people
I would be more than happy to work on that in the beginning as I'm learning, and I'm going to bring it back to you guys and say, what do you think? And I'll take it back to, I'll take it to my parliamentarian to bring back to the selectmen to say, what are you thinking? And let's work. Okay. Let's fix it. Let's just go. I agree with you though. Without clear communications and lines and responsibilities, it's always going to be a mess. You're going to have too many cracks. But thank you very much. That's a good question, Christine. Thank you. Thank you, very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm
Thank
mute.
you, Mr. Rabbit. So now at this point, I need a motion to enter into executive session and not to return to open session. After
So moved.
Second,
Okay, that was quick.
All those in favor?
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
You
aye.
can't do that.
Okay, the meeting is closed.
Oh,
No call.
So Rich, you have to call each of us by name.
Oh,
Yes, for
okay,
the roll call vote.
okay. Chris?
yes.
Yes. Kevin?
Aye.
Rich? Aye. All in favor? Aye. So we're going, what's going on? We're just going into executive session now.
Right,
Okay, so,
but you're still staying on.
yeah, I'm staying here.
Okay,
Everybody else has to sign off.
Yeah,
Unless you
Carl,
have do you have a separate link for executive session?
no, we don't. In
All right.
other words, Carl, Phyllis, and Jack have to go and
What's that?
sign off. All right,
Okay.
that's it.
We'll see you.
ID, that's us up.
All right.